Things are kind of bad over there. Just, da-dum, da-dum. Things aren't. It's kind of a depressing place to be, I gather, from what he says. So, but he's fine, slow. He gets on, well, you know how it is. Okay, Bill, I guess I explained to you the reason for this interview is that both the Smithsonian and Newport are having an evening concert that's devoted to the development of bluegrass music, and in honor of, and of your part in the development of bluegrass music. And you're the featured performer on both those shows. And Ralph wrote an article in 1963 in Sing Out. Did you ever read that?
I think so.
Yeah. And it was kind of, just a general sort of history of you and some of the things that had influenced you and stuff like this. But Newport wants an article and Sing Out wants an article to be published right around the same time, just, about you, and so that more people will be able to understand what it is that you're trying to do and what your contribution to music has been. And so people will have, be able to have a better understanding, I guess, of what you're trying to do. And I think it's important that people, especially to do it in your own words, like we did the record interview. We quoted from things that you said, and in your own words. And I think that it's better that way than for us to try and say things about you. I mean, we say a certain amount, but it's always, I think, more interesting to people to have the person themselves explain and talk about things. Anyway, some of the things I wanted to ask you about specifically, what Sing Out's going to do is they're going to do Uncle Pen. And what I wanted you to, if you could just kind of recall your Uncle Pen and talk about him a little bit and tell me things that you remember about him. And he was, did he live right near you?
Well, on the last day, that I was in Kentucky, me and him lived together. We batched what you would call it,
How old were you then?
Between 17 and 18, right at 18
Mhm.
years. Yeah, I'd say 18 years old. Well, I left Kentucky when I was 18, so it done been. I guess I stayed with him probably a couple of years.
Mhm.
And
That window is warm, Bill.
uh,
Well, he was around, wasn't he, when you were a small boy?
yeah, I can remember him when I was real small.
Yeah.
I guess I can remember him back when I was 8, 9 years old, or or
Mhm.
7, 8 years old. And back them days, you kept quiet and listened to what other older people talked about, and if you didn't, you would run out of the room, And he was, was more the age of my father, and and my father respected him, as a brother-in-law, and we thought he was a wonderful uncle, and he was. And then of a night, we the older ones of the family would want to always, ask him to play, and he would play. If we didn't have if it was just a fiddle, why he would play, and and we'd sit around him, and listen at him and watch him, and did you ever see a picture of him?
I never have. Do you have a picture of him?
Yeah.
He was your father's sister's husband?
He was my sister's brother, not my sister, but my
Your
mother's brother.
brother.
My mother's brother.
Okay. Did he spend a lot of time at your house then when you
Well,
were a boy?
later on, he had family trouble, and his wife left him. They had 2 children, and the daughter stayed with uh, the woman, and the boy Cecil Vannevar, stayed with Uncle Penn.
Mhm.
And later on, the boy died. I can remember him being buried there at Rosine.
How old was he when he died, though?
He must have been around 22 years old or something like that when
Yeah.
he died. But I can remember him singing, at his funeral, and Uncle Penn. I can remember Uncle Penn there, and of course I was older then, of course, and then my aunt, she passed away, and the daughter, she didn't live long either. So Uncle Penn come on and stayed at our house because our father died when I was 16, and he stayed there with us.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody left but just me and my 2 sisters, and Uncle Penn would stay with us. And then later on, why, Mother and Bertha, well, they moved some of my other uncles on the Monroe side, and I stayed on with Uncle Penn, till I left there. Up till then, I was just farming, and working in timber and stuff like that. And I lived there when I was 18, and my last days there, was me and him batched together. He was a crippled man, he'd got thrown by a mule and was on crutches.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he cooked my breakfast, my dinner, and my supper,
Yeah.
And was just a wonderful, wonderful uncle,
When was he thrown by the mule when he?
I'd say I must have been around 14 years old,
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
13 or 14.
And he played the fiddle, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me something. Did he how did he come to play the fiddle? Do you know how he got?
Well, I believe that the Vannevers, they seemed like they was gifted music, but just in their family, and they could all play, they could all sing some,
Mm-hmm.
and they could fiddle the old time breakdown fiddle numbers, and they played just, to listen to, and they liked it themselves, and I believe today that you have got to really like music, and you've got to like you've got to see something in your own playing to make it good for the people.
You have to believe in it yourself.
That's right. You have to feel it in your heart, and you got to love to hear the melody and the words and everything.
Yeah. Well, did Uncle Penn's father or mother play at all? Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't.
But as long as you can remember, he played the fiddle, and you used to hear him.
And my mother could play a fiddle too.
She did.
Of course, yeah, but she couldn't play
wow.
like he could play.
Yeah.
But she could dance the old time, backstep and that kind of stuff. And Uncle Penn could do the old time Kentucky backstep, and I learned how to do it, from him.
Yeah.
And my father, he was a buck and wing dancer. He could buck and wing dance. But it seemed like, well, I guess back years ago, they didn't have too much to do, nothing to go to, and they danced, they got enjoyment out of it. And they's enjoyment, to get to dance to music, to hear music and keep time with it. And of course, the more steps you have, the more you enjoy it. It's just like kind of learning more about music.
Yeah. I want to check something just before we. I'm not used to these machines. It would be great. I can see us sitting here talking, and I'd get through, and I wouldn't have a word on tape.
Then go back to work.
And say, guess what, Ralph? Guess what?
I've got every bit of it down. Yeah, you sure have.
I'd never hear the end of that. Oh, I'd be so embarrassed. Well, Bill, I'm really curious about people's backgrounds because I begin thinking more and more about my own, and I didn't know too much about my father. He died when I was small, and I never used to ask many questions, and now I'm really sorry that I didn't, because I'd really like to know more about him, because it helps you, I think, to know what kind of person you are, to know what you're from. But what was Uncle Pen? Was that his nickname?
Yeah, Pendleton was his real name.
Do you remember how you spell that?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know how.
Pendleton?
Pendleton.
Pendleton.
We just everybody in the country just called him Uncle Pen,
Yeah. And it was Vandiver or Vanover?
Vandiver.
Vandiver. Did he have relatives living in Chicago, or do you have relatives living in Chicago?
I have some relatives living in Marion, Indiana, and up in that part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's some Vandivers still living in Kentucky, of course,
Yeah. But you can't think of around Chicago.
There's a Stanley Vandiver living in Marion, Indiana, and that's the only one.
Is he related to Uncle
He's a
Pen?
cousin. He's a cousin of mine. I don't know too much about my mother's side of our family, and I don't know near as much about the Monroes, as I should know.
Yeah. We never realized.
I was the last one in the family, and I think they know the least
Yeah.
of anybody in the family.
Oh, they're the last to know. But tell me something. What can you tell me a little bit about the house where you grew up, and what it was like, and what it was like when Uncle Pen used to come over and sit around and play, and used to listen to him?
Well, all of our family was born in a log house in Kentucky, out from Rosine. But Bertha and me, the two last ones, and they had built another house then up the road, and Bertha and me was born there. And that house had 2 big rooms and a hall, I believe. And that's the first time I can remember of Uncle Pen coming around, to visit us on Sunday and bringing his family along, and driving up with a team of mules, and a
he
wagon.
did come with a wagon.
That's the way that they would come. Either that or they'd have a buggy. More so it was a wagon, And I can remember him coming and spending a Sunday, or coming on Saturday and staying Saturday night, and while Sunday, then going back home.
Yeah.
And
that's really nice.
and we got to visit them, once in a while like that. And I thought it was great, to get to go to one of my aunts on the Vandiver side, and stay a weekend. All of the Monroes lived right along in rotation, They lived 1.5 miles of each other, all of the brothers. Uncle Jack Monroe, then James Buchanan, my father.
Yeah.
Down the road 1 mile was my Uncle Andrew Monroe. On around the road about 1 mile was where my grandfather lived, and that place was given to Uncle Birch Monroe because he looked after my grandfather.
Yeah.
And all around the road, I'd say 2 miles, was William Monroe, the man that I was named after, Uncle Willie. And that was all their farms joined each other, and they stayed pretty close together. If something was wrong with one man, why the others looked after him. And that's kind of the way that they worked.
Yeah. Well, when they lived close together like this, and they all had farms.
That's right.
Did they raise crops, or were they just small farms, or did they have really big farms?
Well, now our farm was 650 acres. I remember that.
That's pretty big.
And we raised corn, and wheat and tobacco. And of course, we raised a big garden. I had about an acre garden to take care of all of our family, and I'd say close to an acre potatoes.
Yeah.
And my father always, fattened his own hogs and put his own meat away. And
did you butcher your own hogs too?
That's right. And my mother always had a lot of chickens, a lot of hens, and she, looked after them and would save the eggs, and my father, could use the money to come out of the eggs to buy sugar, coffee, and what little, and kerosene, coal oil, what, you had your lights with, and as for electricity was in that country. And that's kind of the way it was.
Yeah. Do you remember what kind of a man your father was? Do you have a real clear picture of him?
I do have a wonderful picture of my father. When I was real small, I was too small to go with him, and he worked hard, and he had men that he worked for him. And I would want to go, and when I couldn't go, maybe I would say something about him, and I remember my mother would really get me. But later on, when I got seeing what kind of a man he really was, and the kind of man I really wanted to follow, he was a truthful man, and honest, and would do you a favor, and he was kind of I'm this much like him. If I do you a favor, I might ask you for one, and that's because that was the kind of a man he was. And I have tried to grow up under what kind of a man I thought he was like. I know I have an awful soft heart, and I've often wondered about him. I imagine he did too.
You think he did?
I kind of believe that he did have.
Was he strict, kind of on the outside?
Oh, he was strict. Alice, he had a much better education than I've got.
How far in school did he go, Bill?
He just went through the 8th grade, but back them days, you see, 8th grade was a good education.
Yeah.
And he kept his own books. And I still have all of his books, that he kept. And they lead way on back. I don't remember what year he started keeping them. And no matter what he bought, you'll find it in the book. If it was a plug of tobacco, if there's anything like that, sugar or anything, don't matter if it was a nickel, it was put in that book.
Yeah.
And it's plain. He used indelible pencil. You've seen them, haven't you?
I'm not sure if I have or not.
And that's the kind of pencil that he used. And
is that like a
kind of like a pen, it's
but with a point that you stick in?
It's the same kind of a point, a pencil got, but it leaves a blue looking mark, that keeps on staying.
Yes, I have too.
And you can see places in his bookkeeping where a man would work for 35 cents a day, and or 50 cents a day, and then as the years come along, why they went on up to 50 and 75 cents a day and $1 a day. And I can remember before he passed away that he was paying 2.50 a day. So you see that
times have changed.
They really changing fast.
They're changing now too.
So he was a good man to follow, and he was a good leader, and in my work, that's one thing I have tried to be, is a leader for the people that's followed my kind of work. It's a wonder that I didn't stay on the farm and follow that kind of a life, because then I guess they might have had to run me away from Kentucky to get me out of there. And but there wasn't much money back in Depression on the farm, and so I guess it's a good thing that I left. But I left Kentucky when I was 18,
And he died when you were 16. You said.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Was he a big man like you and Birch and Charlie?
No, he was about 5'10", I guess, something like that, and he weighed about 165 pounds. The Monroes must have taken their bigness, I guess, from our mother's side in a way of being tall,
Yeah.
And,
Was she tall?
Yes, she was. And, of course, some of the other Monroes, now, like the man I was named after, Uncle William Monroe, he was a big man, too. I guess 200 something, and we about 6'2" or 6'4".
That's big, yeah.
And so I don't really know where we got our weight from. We must have eaten a lot or something.
Your mother must have been a good cook.
She was a wonderful cook. She fixed the best green beans and potatoes and biscuits you ever tasted.
Oh, Lord. Hey,
We didn't have too many things on the table, but what we had was good, Alice.
it was good.
It
That's
really
what
was.
counts. It really does count. Well, what about your grandfather? Do you remember him much?
No, I don't. That's why I said a while ago, I don't know as much about the Monroes
Yeah.
or the Vanivers as I should know.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard my brothers and my father and talk about them, but when you're small, you don't remember a lot of things.
You just don't pay too much attention, I think.
One thing that did to stay in my mind, and I can remember most of them, is the fiddle numbers that Uncle Pen played. Now that really stuck to me. I can play, I guess, 90 or 95% of every tune that he played,
Mm-hmm.
and could still remember. And I don't know how that stuck with me that close.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, why do you think, things like that stuck with you instead of other things?
I don't really know that. I must have listened to him awful close
Mm-hmm.
when he was playing, and
Mm-hmm.
well, we did play for square dances, I'd say when I was around 12, 13 years
Yeah.
old.
And you played with him?
Yeah, we used to ride mule back, and go play for square dances around through the country, and any place that would want us, well, they'd send us word to come,
Mm.
and we'd make a little money out of it, never over $5 a night, and
Yeah.
most of the time a couple of dollars a night.
Well, did Uncle Pen play the guitar? I mean, the fiddle. And then did you play?
I played the guitar.
You played the
there,
guitar
yeah.
with him then. It was just the two of you?
That's right.
Huh. And you were about 12 or 13?
Yeah, something like that.
Gee, that's interesting, Bill.
After he, I told you, Alice, about him getting thrown by a mule and
Yeah.
crippling him, and he was crippled on all of his life, and but he could still get on that mule, with his crutches, and I'd ride behind him,
Oh.
and we would go, play for square dances.
Did he have trouble standing up with his crutches and playing the fiddle?
He'd always sit down.
He would sit down and
Yeah.
play. Did you sit down too?
Yeah, I sit down.
Yeah. And they didn't have microphones then, I guess,
No.
did they, to play with? Well, whereabouts would they have square dances when you all used to play?
Well, used to be they would have them at Rosie, Kentucky every Saturday night,
In a school or community
Well,
center?
And when the weather got hot, they'd have them out, outside, and they'd put down sawdust dancing and sawdust.
Oh.
And, or they'd have them at somebody's house, that wanted to clear out a room or something, and have just a social square dance.
Yeah. Did they have refreshments and things like that?
No, they didn't.
They didn't have.
No.
Would they start early and go pretty late, or?
They generally would start around 8 o'clock, and
Mhm.
go on up till about midnight.
Yeah. And you just carried the instruments right with you on the mule then?
That's right.
Well, that's really neat. How far did you have to go sometimes?
What, a mile and a half or 2 miles, 3 miles, something like that.
Wow.
But of course, that was right back through dirt roads. There wasn't. That
Mhm.
was the kind of roads we was on.
Yeah. Now tell me something. Why would Uncle Pen take you with him instead of, say, Birch or Charlie, who were older?
Well, maybe they had done left Kentucky. You see, they left
Oh,
there
they had
before I did,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to Detroit and on into Indiana, and they was working in some places like that. And I guess they was gone, when we done a lot of that.
Yeah. Do you think that Uncle Pen had a big influence on you
Yes, he
as
did.
a child?
Yes. He would, he would tell me things that he thought I should do, and if he never told me anything, I knew I was doing pretty well right,
Mm-hmm. About the music, you mean?
or anything,
Or just general,
anything. Yes,
yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm. He was kind of like a guide.
That's right.
Hmm. Do you remember, Bill, anything about your father's funeral at all, or?
Yes, I do. I remember when my mother died. I was 10 then,
Yeah.
And I can remember her funeral. Of course, I can remember mine, or my father's when he was, I was 16, you know, and he was 70. And at 10 years old, when some of your people dies, it's not as hard on you as it is, you know, after you get up, I don't think, to where you really understand a little bit better.
I agree.
And to know that was the last one of them there, that really hurt too, you know. And it's kind of like being put out on your own then to look out for yourself. Or brothers and sisters will help each other, but they don't. They can't take the place of a father or mother.
Did you feel pretty much alone then after?
And yes, I did. I felt that is. Well, I guess most of my life, you know, I have felt a lot of days I'd feel, you know, like that. Because I can see that through, you know, some of my music. It's, I can feel it down through the music, you know, about lonely or lonesome, you know, and you, I don't, if you was raised in the city, you probably don't know so much about it, but being from the country, you know, there wasn't much going on there, and you have so much time to think and remember things, you know, that happened when you was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, you know, I can see that touch of the way that I feel down through my songs and through blues and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's in a way at times a lonesome feeling is a good feeling at times, you know. If you're in the mood, you know, to if you're really moody, why that seems like everything works together. You really get lonesome, and maybe I think blues is awful bad to have.
Yeah.
I think blues and being lonesome is two different
You do.
things.
That's true, because one is, I guess, blues is just feeling kind of depressed, but sometimes people need to be alone, you know.
Yeah.
Feel kind of lonesome.
And you think that you want to think things out, you know, and you want to think about things that happened back years ago, and so many things that did happen, I have never forgotten about them, and they cross my mind, you know, a lot of times. And,
yeah. Yeah.
And I think about how bad the times was, you know, and how short the money was, and how my father went about making the money to raise 8 children, you know, and you know, what you take today, it's a problem to raise a child, because it takes a lot of money, and groceries has really gone sky high.
Haven't they? Wow.
Of course, back in the days, like I told you, we had a good garden and saved everything we could save. We knew we had to, for that winter was coming, and there was going to be a bad winter, cold, and I think winters back then was so much worse than they are today. Of course, you've got better equipment to heat with today, but
Did you just have fireplaces?
had a fireplace and a cook stove, you know,
yeah.
wood cook stove.
Yeah. Did you get the wood from right around?
Oh, we had plenty of wood.
Yeah.
We had plenty of coal on the place, but we always burnt wood for some reason. You know, it's a cleaner heat.
The wood.
That's right.
Yeah, it smells good too.
And it don't leave the house smoked up, and it's cold. You know, will, I think.
Yeah. Did you have a mine on the land where your father?
We had a coal mines, and in the fall of the year, they worked the coal mines, you know, to furnish the 2 or 3 little towns with coal. Now, like Roseanne, I guess there's 150 families there, and a lot of them, you know, use coal, and they'd want 100 bushel put in, or 150. Then Horse Branch was up the road 3 miles further, and Horton was where I went to school at, was west of Roseanne a little ways, about 3 miles. So I can remember back in the early days, we'd have 6 or 8 teams of mules and horses
Yeah.
going, all the time. And some hauling coal, some hauling lumber, some hauling ties, cross tie, telephone poles, and some plowing. And it was, there was work going, and just like I told you, my father was a leader. He just told them to follow him. He didn't say, get out, you had to do this and you had to do that.
Right.
He just said, follow me.
And he worked.
And he worked,
too.
and they knew they had to work with him. And if they didn't work with him, they probably couldn't keep the job. And if they didn't come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, they come at 9, well, they got 3/4 of a day, and that's the way he kept his books.
Did the men like your father, the men who worked for him? Did they think they had a lot of respect for him?
I have never heard nobody that said a word against my father's way.
What kind of men did he have working for him?
Well, he had, I know there was a good many of the Vanivers, that worked for him.
Yeah.
Like, you had to make cross ties with a broad axe, and a lot of the people, they worked for him like that. And there was different people in the country, who lived nearby there that worked for him. People named Kirkendall or Wilsons and Burtons and Goodmans and some people, could make a good cross tie. Well, they got paid so much a tie, maybe 10 cents a tie for making a tie. And and after he would get through with his coal work, in the fall and winter, well, then he would start on timber,
Oh, yeah.
And
Was there a lot of timber on your land?
Yes, there was. And that when spring would come around, why, you'd go to fixing fences, and then you'd get ready to farm that for 2-3 months.
So he was really busy then all the year.
Busy.
What kind of mines were they built? Do you remember? Were they shaft mines or
There was mines where you go in at the side of the hill, you dig your way back in.
I see. Yeah.
And you prop as you go, and you lay your own track. You lay a wood track, and you might have a little jennet or a little mule to pull the coal out from where it would be.
Yeah.
And then it would go on down to the tipple, and dump itself, you see. And that's the way they worked there. And they'd have about 2 coal miners, you see.
Yeah. Well, did you ever work in your father's mines?
I have been in them, I was small then, and I have been back in them, and I thought it was great, to get to go back in.
Yeah.
And you went
Like
with
a
a little
cave.
carbide light,
Yeah.
You couldn't see much. And but I know in the summertime it was cool back in, and I thought that was really be a wonderful place to work.
I wonder if the miners thought it was good. Oh, we got sore backs. Yeah. Well, what did Uncle Penn do for a living? Do you know, Bill?
He was a farmer, and then later on in life he done a lot of trading. Like if he stayed the weekend with us, well, he'd start out on Monday morning, and he'd go from one friend's house or on through to whoever he could run into, If he started out with a mule or a horse riding, and if he had a pocket knife or something, he would keep trading, and trade for food, and maybe he would come back into that week with that same horse and a cow. So he must have been a good trader.
You never went with him when he did that?
No, I didn't.
That's pretty good.
But it'd give him something to do, he was, and a lot of that was before he got crippled, and I guess he enjoyed doing it, and made a little something out of it. He was kind of man that never spent any money, what he made, why he kept. And I don't guess he ever banked any money. What he had, was in his pocketbook.
Yeah. Did he used to tell you stories when you were a little boy about?
Oh, I've heard him talk a little, about different things.
Can you remember any stories?
Well, he told me one story, about him and my uncle Birch Monroe was about the same age, and my uncle Birch Monroe, he played a bass fiddle, one of them, that you played with a bow.
Oh, he played it with a bow.
And
Oh, well.
and he could play a little fiddle too, but I know they went to Illinois or Indiana up in there, and they was gonna, go up there and get work and work on the farm. And from what he said, they was young and nice looking men back in the days, or at least they thought they was. I guess they was. And they stayed up there a season, and I guess they accumulated all they could, but they come back to Kentucky, and he told me a few things like that, that was interesting back in them days, because I didn't figure I would ever get out of the state of Kentucky,
Yeah.
And I believe back years ago, that there's a lot of people might have never got out of the county they was raised in. At least they didn't get very far.
Yeah, people go more now. I guess the car makes a difference, but there's still people who haven't gone too far away from their homes, and some people, I guess, have never gone very far away.
Well, and that's one thing I think back across, just say Uncle Penn or some of my brothers, and there are different people around Kentucky and Rose in Kentucky where I was raised at. Looked like their life was so little and so small, and they didn't have much to do, and they didn't go any place, and looked like it was. I know that now, if I'd have been tied down like that my life would have been awful small. Looks like, I wouldn't have known much or got anything done much.
Yeah.
And traveling is a good experience, and if I hadn't got some traveling, I don't guess I'd have had any education, to just spoke of at all.
Well, but yet you have the feeling from the way you talk that, your family was a happy family, and that.
Well, it seemed like that was all they wanted,
But it's something. I mean, because a lot of people, no matter how much education they have or how much they've traveled, are pretty unhappy people. And there's something sort of nice about having a home and family and having, not good relatives. And you get kind of a warm feeling from that, I guess.
Well, when we all lived, like, I told you, the farms joined there, and there was a lot of people up and down that Ridge Road. But then the old timers got to passing away, you see, and the younger ones, they didn't make the kind of a farmer that the older one was, and they wanted to get out and go to Detroit or go to some other city and get seek a fortune and come back, And of course, when they got out, they found it still wasn't so easy, and but they got the traveling on their mind, and a lot of them went, gone a long ways, been in a lot of different parts of the country. So I often think of, how you could work on the farm and come in that night and have supper and go to bed and get up the next day and hitch up a team and go back and plow that corn again, and stay right around there in that same part of the country all week, and at the end of the year you were still right there. It looked like life would be you'd be so small like that, but you had never got to see anything much.
Yeah. Did your parents ever talk about moving away, or did they ever talk? Do you remember that if they ever said anything about wishing they could leave or go?
No, that was their home, and they wanted to keep it there.
Yeah,
and
that's a nice feeling too.
They wanted to keep it there and there was enough land, for the kids to have something left, and that's what they really meant it for, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're broke and if you still got a home, you've got something. You've got a place to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of thought things out like that.
Where did you go, Bill, right after your father died?
Well, then after I left Kentucky, After my father died, me and Uncle Penn, we batched, 2 years. And then I left Kentucky when I was 18, went to Indiana, and I worked 5 years in Sinclair Refinery Company.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Doing what?
I worked in a compartment called the barrel house,
Hmm.
where the barrels would come in and you would see that they didn't leak and you would clean them inside and they'd be painted again and ready to ship out again. And I worked there for right close to 5 years. And trying to learn to play on the side, play music and the music finally won over, I reckon. And so
It's a good thing. I can't think of you, working in a refinery like that. But what made you decide to leave, your Uncle Penn after 2 years?
Well, different one of the families thought, if I stayed there, I would never amount to anything, that I would have a hard life, and maybe I would get married there and I'd have a family and I'd have to go through with what a lot of them was going through there and have a hard life. And I guess if they hadn't, mind you'd shoved me out of Kentucky, I'd have still been there.
Did you enjoy it? Did you
Yes.
enjoy while you were living with your Uncle Penn?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was hard because I worked every day, I drove 4 horses, and hauled cross ties, telephone poles, coal, or anything.
Wow.
And I was real young and too young really to be doing it, but anyhow, I had, I'd growed up under my father, and I'd watched everything that they'd ever done, and I could do anything they'd done.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it was just like a new life, a new world to leave there and go to a city and when you'd never been out of the country and start.
Yeah, right. Very true. So, did you and Uncle Penn, when you were living with him for those 2 years, did you play music a lot together?
Well, he played a lot, and I like that song, Uncle Penn, he'd be playing the fiddle late in the evening, when I would quit working, would be coming in. But, if you work like I did, you was tired and wore out and you didn't, you, had getting out and loafing around with boys, and, on your mind or playing ball or something like that. That's been a great love of mine is baseball. And, so, we didn't play too much. When we played, it would be at a dance or something.
Yeah, yeah. Did he show you a lot?
No,
he didn't show you. You just mostly listened to him then.
Nobody has never showed me one note that I can remember.
Yeah, but you really feel like your Uncle Penn influenced your music a lot.
Learning his numbers, give me something to start on. Learned me how to keep time. That's one thing that he learned me how to do is to keep time. And the shuffle he had on a bow was the most perfect time that you ever heard. And I give him credit for all of my timing. And now fiddle pieces I play. If I play his fiddle pieces, I play them in my style.
Yeah.
I might use a little of his way of playing, but most of it's in my style, the way I think a fiddle should have been played.
Did he ever talk to you about other musicians around the area, and did he listen to other musicians a lot?
Well, back in the days of a fiddler, he thought that was the lead instrument, and everybody followed him. And of course, the better the guitar picker was, why it helped him more. And before Charlie left Kentucky, why, of course, he played the guitar, and I played the mandolin, and Brother Monroe played the fiddle. And we followed Uncle Penn some. And but then after they left, why, in order to get to help him with dances, why, I knew how to play guitar enough to help him out.
Did he ever play with any other musicians besides you and Birch and Charlie?
He used to play with a man by the name of Clarence Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He played a 5-string banjo.
Old time.
Yeah, it's a different way. It's not the clawhammer style, you know, that rapping style. It was a little different from that. Have you've seen people play that played with a thumb and finger, have you?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the way he played.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, my Uncle Birch, he played the bass, and I didn't know that they had a guitar player back in the day.
When he played the bass, did he bow it?
Yeah, that's the way he played it.
Wow.
And it wasn't a big bass; it was, you know, it was a smaller bass.
Yeah.
I don't know what do they call that?
But it still stood up.
Yeah, you could sit down and play it.
Oh, cello?
Something like that. It's a little bigger than a.
Yeah.
It wasn't as big as a bass, but.
Yeah. Well, did your Uncle Pen ever, listen to records or radio, or how did he ever learn to play the fiddle?
Well, there was no records back, you know, of fiddle music much back. That all started coming out in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Fiddle music. Of course, he was fiddling way before that.
Yeah.
And I guess it just handed down from one old-time fiddler to another.
Yeah, he probably took an interest in it. Did he play when he was a boy too, or did he just?
I imagine he did.
Yeah. You said that your mother used to play the fiddle and sing.
Yeah, she could play a fiddle pretty good, and had a good, high, clear voice.
Where'd she learn how to play fiddle?
I guess just the same way as Uncle Pen did.
Yeah. Was it unusual for a woman to play the fiddle?
You didn't hardly see a woman fiddler back in the day.
Yeah. What kind of songs did she sing, Bill? Can you remember any of the ones she used to sing?
Not too good. I can't remember the song that she sung too good.
But she sang just by herself without.
I could hear her singing around home, you know.
Yeah.
Just
Your father, you said your father didn't sing or play,
no.
but he could dance?
Yes, he was a good buck and wing dancer.
Well, you told me once, Bill, that when you were a child, your eyes were bad. What was wrong with them?
Well, when I was real young, about 1917, I guess, you know, in the First World War, I had the whooping cough, and seemed like it settled in my left eye, you know, and back in the days, there was a lot of a lot of people fox hunted, and my father was a great fox hunter, and he had a foxhorn, and you know, he could really blow it, you know. So I wanted to learn it too, you know, and I've always thought, you know, maybe that had a little, maybe it strained me so much to do that, but I guess whooping cough, you know, settled in my eye too, or something, or weakened it or something. And anyhow, my left eye, you know, got crossed.
Yeah.
And it stayed crossed so long that when I had it operated on, why, you know, the sight wasn't real good, you know. It was in fact, at times now I can still see, you know, two visions that crossing each other, and but that was because, you know, my left eye was operated on and straightened up to where it looks straight, but
yeah, he doesn't look crossed a lot.
no.
Well, could you see pretty well when you were a boy? You couldn't see too well. How much could you see?
Well, I could see in the daytime, and of a night, why, you know, it would get bad. I couldn't hardly see to get around. And you know, I went a long time, and I never told them anything about it. You know, I wouldn't tell anybody how bad it really was. But it leads back, you know, that they was all working, everybody was working, and a lot of things should have been done wasn't done, you see.
Yeah.
I should have had glasses when I was small, and my eyes should have been straightened down.
Do you feel like you missed a lot when you were a kid because of your eyes?
Well, I was, well, it would make you embarrassed, you see. It did me. I was the most bashful person in the world. and that embarrassed me, you see, and uh, so I guess that's one reason, that I was so distant maybe when I was a kid and wouldn't go around many places, and that had a lot to do with it.
Did you feel lonesome when you were a kid?
Yes, I did.
You did, yeah. You did. Did you have many friends, or did you just mostly not make
Well, I
friends?
had friends, but you know, if you're living on a farm, you've got things to do there. Well, there's another farm down the road; they've got things to do too, and you wouldn't get together very often, and that was my trouble in school. My eyes was weaker than anybody knew about, you see, and um, it's a wonder that I ever made a grade.
How far in school did you go?
I believe sixth grade.
Did you do pretty well in school, or
I was good in arithmetic and that kind
you
of
were?
stuff. And,
My worst subject.
and
I'm amazed that you could do well with your eyes.
Yeah, it was that was really a handicap.
Mm.
And it was a handicap, and after I got up in this kind of work, for years I didn't wear glasses, and I never read a newspaper, anything like that till for no tell how many years, and when I finally did break down and get glasses, why I read all the time, I couldn't get enough of it.
You feel like you miss a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think you listened more when you were a kid because you couldn't see?
Yeah, I know I did.
How old were you when you had the operation?
Let's see, I was about 22 years old, I guess.
What difference did that make, do you think?
Well, one thing, it straightened my eyes, were that I wasn't embarrassed, and it had that kind of effect.
Yeah. When did you start playing baseball?
Oh, I've tried to play it, all my life, and after, we started here in Nashville, working here, then I had two baseball clubs,
Yeah.
One that traveled on the road and one that worked in and out of Nashville here. And they was really good clubs. The one of them was called the Bluegrass Boys Ball Club, and the other one was called the Bluegrass All Stars. And back in the days, Happy Chandler was commissioner of baseball then, and he was doing a lot for the rural country towns in the way of baseball. And any place you would go to, you could take your club and get a game with a pretty good little club,
How'd you organize a club?
Well, to start with, back in the early 40s, why I had people, like string beans working for me.
Yeah.
That loved baseball just as much as I did. And Clyde Moody loved to play baseball, so we just kind of started from that and built around it, you see. And then we finally got to where we was hitting clubs, we knew we was going to have good material, good men. And so then I went to paying, $10 a day for our player and his room rent.
Oh.
And if he hit a home run, he got $5 extra.
Oh, that's good.
So
everybody was trying hard.
That's right. So well, we had played a lot of towns and had big crowds.
What would you do? Was it at the same time that you were playing music too?
We would go on the stage at 7:30.
Yeah.
And we would start the baseball game at let's see, 8:15, I believe.
No kidding. And what kind of people did you usually play? Did you play other teams?
We played county seats or whoever had a good ball club.
Yeah. Did other people do this much, or was this
No,
something of yours?
This was something of mine that I...
It's really a great idea. Have a concert and then play a game of baseball. Did you play too?
Not in this club, no.
Well, when you were a kid, before you had your operation, did you play ball, or were you
What I
able
could,
to?
you know,
Yeah.
if the days was good and bright, you know, well, I could see pretty good, you know, but
Yeah.
I could have played so much better with Blaze.
It's such a shame, you know, just to think of all that time that was wasted.
Yeah.
I wonder if that affected your music at all. I mean, I wonder if not being able to see so well
Well,
made a difference.
I think it's affected me, you know, that way too. And in a way of taking care of business, it would too. But far as coming up the hard way, you know, I'm not a bit sorry that, and I'm not ashamed that I come up the way that I was brought up in Kentucky. I'm not a bit ashamed of that.
How do you feel about, you know, the way things have changed? And I mean, there are things about your childhood that you're really proud of and that, you know, are dear to you. And I guess as they are to everybody has things about their childhood. And, you know, the world has changed a lot since then. Do you ever long for some of the ways the way they used to be? And
Yeah, I do. You know, I don't believe that the children today, the kids, will remember, you know, things like it. Now I know my two children, James and Melissa. They remember. They talk about a lot of things that happened, but I know that the things that passed that I would have remembered. I believe, and I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Of course, they tell me things that happened that, of course, I forgot too. And
I wonder why kids, well, I guess we just don't have the same things anymore like they used to. Like a
well,
fireplace now, something as simple as a fireplace, but you know, you can remember.
yeah, and it's so wonderful. I think a fireplace.
Oh,
Oh, I love to sit around the fireplace
you and me both.
in the cold winter nights and watch the fire burn.
Did you used to do that when you were a kid?
Yeah, that was our heat, you know.
Yeah. People didn't have the same things that they have now to entertain them, like TV and.
Well, that's one reason I believe, you know, that well, it stands to reason that a kid can't remember with so much going on now like he could back years ago about his real life.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna just stop for a second. Do 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 do. I guess I've got it. Let's see, where did we leave off? We were talking about Uncle Pen and a whole bunch of things. And oh, we were talking about your eyes too, Bill, and how you know how you felt that affected. You know, when you had bad eyesight when you were a boy, how did you handle that with people? I mean, did you? You said you were kind of shy and it made you embarrassed, but and you couldn't play ball like you really wanted to and stuff like this.
Well, I stayed, you know, more by myself that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And listen to other people talk, you know.
Yeah. Did kids tease you a lot when you were? I was telling you about how Jesse was worried that he was going to get teased just because he had glasses. But
No, they never did, you know, tease me in that way. I believe, you know, most of the good people would feel sorry for you, you know. I think that's the way they would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I feel sorry for anybody that's eyes is in bad shape. I really do.
Yeah. But you listened to a lot, and oh, I know something I wanted to ask you about. Where did you develop your interest in horses? Because you used to raise horses, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, that come out of Kentucky too, where I was raised. We always had horses. Of course, we had work horses and maybe one or two saddle horses.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to go to a dance or where we went, if we worked the mule all day, we'd maybe ride it that night.
Hmm.
And or we would have to walk and go, and
Yeah.
sometimes you'd have to walk 5 miles to wherever you was going, and that's kind of the way that we had to do that. And then in 1925, uh, I I know two of the boys, got them a Ford car, Model T, and that was a little help.
Yeah.
But we lived so far back in the country, that you couldn't get in there with the car in the wintertime.
Oh,
The
yeah.
car had to sit there all winter till spring, till the road broke. Got in good shape.
When did you get your first car?
First car I ever owned was in, let's see, early 30s. I
Yeah.
had a 31 Chevrolet.
But did your family ever have a car?
No,
No, they never did.
Uh-uh.
So they always traveled by horse and wagon.
Yeah, or horse and buggy.
Yeah. Well, when you raised horses, what kind of a setup did you have? Did you have a farm around here, didn't you?
Well, when I raised horses, I guess I had 10 or 12, brood mares, and I kept I did have as high as 4 stallions, and they was more so Tennessee walking horses.
Yeah.
I had a few Kentucky bred saddle horses, but very few. In fact, I'd rather have a nice saddle horse than to have a Tennessee walking horse myself.
You would.
Now, the horse that I had some pictures made with called King Wilkie
Oh, yeah. I saw
was
pictures.
a wonderful horse, and he was a thoroughbred Tennessee walking stallion. And, I've been a Democrat all the way through, and
Yeah.
and that by using this name King Wilkie, everybody thought I was Republican.
Yeah. Right.
And,
Wendell Wilkie. Sure, I remember.
But the
looking
horse
about
had the
his-
name, King Wilkie was his name.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, thought that I was a Republican because that horse's name.
Where'd you get the name?
He had the name when I
Oh,
bought
so it wasn't your doing then.
No,
So you've been a Democrat, huh?
all the way.
You ever sorry?
No. Of course, I've seen good Democrat presidents, and I've seen good Republican presidents.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You had horse racing, and I mean not horse racing, but you raised horses.
I raised
And-
horses to sell,
Yeah.
sell the colts
Yeah.
at a year old or 2 years old. And I broke them myself. I broke them
You
to
did?
ride. Yeah, I've done all of my breaking.
Oh Lord, that's really interesting. I used to be crazy about horses when I was a kid. Used to ride a lot then. How'd you break them usually?
Well, a Tennessee walking horse, if you're real careful with it, and halter it and bridle it then, and learn it to follow you with the halter, and put a saddle on it, and be careful about getting up on it.
Yeah.
Tennessee walking horse don't know hardly how to buck.
Oh.
It's something if you make a fool out of them, they'll probably buck
Right,
with you some.
yeah.
But a Tennessee, most of them will walk right off, just they don't have that bucking in them. Of course, horses from the west, on the plains, or a lot of Kentucky bred saddle horses is bad, when you first get on them, you have to break them.
Yeah, I remember out in the West Coast when I was a kid. We lived out in farm country, and they used to have these quarter horses, and just horses to work with cattle and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But they always, they had the rodeos and all this kind of junk, the bucking horses,
Yeah.
and that's all we ever saw until I came back east. And
I could have made a lot more money if I'd, hadn't even fooled with horses.
think so?
I think
How
so.
come?
Well, I'd taken up a lot of my time, back when I was really should have been shoving hard,
You mean for the
for
music?
dollar. But my way of thinking, the dollar ain't everything through life. And
I'll say.
if I hadn't have fooled with the horses the years that I did, well, when I got older, I'd have wished I had have. And so I got all that in my life,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing about the fox hunting. I like to fox hunt, and uh, that takes some of my time too. But and to make the most out of music, I think it's a really a 24-hour day job. And but and for 20 years here, I really worked hard on music, you know, and played every day. And sometimes when I first started here, we would start a show at a theater, you know, at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we'd wind up that night, you know, I have wound up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you don't see anything like that today.
You mean you'd start a show at 10 o'clock?
That's right.
And then you'd just do a whole bunch of different shows?
They'd play a picture, you know, maybe a cowboy picture. We'd go back on the stage, you'd play another one, and their shorts, you know, and their previews and everything.
Yeah.
And you'd go back on, and I remember playing Gilbert, West Virginia, and I wound up at 2 o'clock in the morning playing theaters.
That's amazing.
And you don't do that today.
That is really rough. When was this? You know, when did you play these?
That was in the 40s.
In the 40s.
Yeah.
So it was you and would String Bean have been with you then?
Well, I wouldn't know who to say was with me then. It's been a long time ago.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Good grief. 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you could, back in the early days, you could drive up to a theater, and the people would already be there every morning, you know, ready to get them a ticket, you know, and see the show.
Would these mostly be in small towns and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of them were small towns. You know, a lot of them was in the eastern part of Kentucky and West Virginia, and coal mining country.
Yeah.
Then I have played as high as 3 theaters in the night, and I have played a white theater and go to a colored theater and play.
Oh, really?
And that's something I am proud of.
That's interesting, Bill.
And,
I didn't know that. I guess they had separate theaters then, you know.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about
Well,
that.
you know, in the colored part of town, they'd have a movie. And I don't believe anybody else on the Grand Ole Opry could say that they have done that.
I don't know of anybody.
I do know one time that we was playing in North Carolina, and we had a tent show, and we had played one night, you know, and the next night we had off, and we went ahead and played for the colored folks, you know, and we packed the tent with colored people.
How did they respond to your music?
Oh, they thought it was wonderful.
Really
the comedy, they loved it.
Yeah. What kind of comedy did you have then?
We had slapstick comedy, you know, and back in the days we had black-faced comedians too, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, back in the days, the colored folks, they liked that too, you know. They tickled to see somebody imitate them.
Yeah. That's really wild.
Of course, today you couldn't do that.
No, you couldn't. I'll say you couldn't. But that's really interesting. I wanted to ask you too about Arnold Schultz. I read Ralph's article in the Sing Out where he mentions Arnold Schultz. And I wanted to find out more about him. And, well, I guess we could start off with, you know, when did you first meet him?
The first time I think I ever seen Arnold Schultz, and to start with, he played a lot by himself, but anyhow, this square dance was at Rosine, Kentucky, and Arnold and 2 more colored fellows come up there and played for the dance, and I believe that was the first time that I ever seen Arnold Schultz.
Was it a dance, you know, for white people, and they were just playing for it? Was it a dance for
white people?
It was.
And
what did Arnold play?
I believe he played the guitar. But I think he could play the fiddle, you know, numbers like Sally Gooden and that kind of stuff.
Did the other 2 guys play banjo?
Let's see, they had a guitar, banjo, and fiddle. Is what they had.
Do you remember the names of the other guys?
No, I don't. But people loved Arnold so well there, all through Kentucky there, that if he was playing a guitar, you know how they would gang up around him until he would get tired, you know, and then maybe he would catch a train. And he lived down at a little mining town by the name of I believe it's called McHenry,
McHenry,
Kentucky, down in there, or on down further. Let's see, he could have lived down. I didn't know the town he was from. Uh, Central City, down in that part of the country.
Yeah.
Uh, and maybe he would catch a train, and go back after coming up there. And I used to listen at him talk, and he would tell about contests that he'd been in, and how tough they was, and about that they played these two blues numbers, and tied up, and
what kind of contests were they?
just guitar picking contests,
Were they mostly for colored people?
Yeah, there was colored people that it was playing.
Yeah.
And they had to do another number, and I remember him saying that he played a waltz number and won this contest, and just things like that, that I have never forgot, because I thought, it was really I know that he thought it was wonderful, that he could win out like that, and I admired him that much, that I never forgot a lot of things that he would say. And he treated everybody with respect, white and colored too, and he was a wonderful man, I thought. He was kind of like D. Ford Bailey, that used to play the harmonica here.
Yes, I've never met D. Ford, but I would like to. I understand he is around here.
Yeah,
still.
he lives here in Nashville.
Well, how old a man was Arnold Schultz when you knew him?
He was already getting gray-headed,
and
I would say that he must have been 45, something like that. Could have been older than that.
Yeah.
And he never did have a good guitar, There was always a cheap guitar, but he could make them sound fine. They really sounded good the way that he would play them.
How old were you? Do you remember when you first met him or first saw him?
I'd say 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah. Did he ever, do you feel that you learned from some things from him?
Yeah, there's things in my music, that come from Arnold Schultz. I think a straight pick is perfect for bluegrass music, and that's what that I really want in it, because you can get a better solid beat with a straight pick than you can with a thumb pick.
Yeah.
And Arnold could play with us, and following a fiddle, he played with a straight pick, and nobody never did know that, And so runs that I use in a lot of my music, come from Arnold Schultz.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, I don't say that I make them the same way that he couldn't make them, because he was powerful with it.
Yeah.
And but then he could play blues, and I wanted some blues in my music too, you see. And I think that helped out. And
do you remember any of the songs that he played that impressed you especially, or?
He played the Yellow Dog Blues, and that kind of stuff, and I don't know what some of the names of them was that he played.
Did he sing too?
He might have sung a little, but very little.
Did you see him very often, Bill?
Through the summertime, you'd see him, I guess he was the kind of a man, that would play, and if you wanted to donate any money to him,
I see, yeah.
You've seen people like that.
Sure.
And it wasn't more than right to do it, because he had good music to listen to, and it didn't hurt a white man to give him some change, And I imagine, I never seen that happen that way, but I bet that it did. That there was a many white man, that put money in the pot for him,
Yeah. Well, did he play mostly for white audiences, or were there colored audiences that he go out and play for?
Well, I would think, that and when he would play for colored folks, that it would be free back in them days. And if he played for white people, they paid him.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's the way that he made his money.
You don't know
know,
if he had another job or anything.
I don't know whether he
Yeah.
did or not.
Yeah. Did he ever stay in people's homes when he'd come up and play for these things, or did he always just come up and then go right back after this?
And I tell you, me and him played for a dance there one night, you know, and he played the fiddle then.
Yeah.
And we started, you know, at sundown, and the next morning in daylight we were still playing music from square dance book and rounding all night long.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And you know that, of course, that automatically made you be dancing on Sunday.
Uh-oh.
But that is really the truth. I can say that I have played for a dance all night long.
Did you play guitar with him
I
then?
played the guitar.
Yeah.
Just could second fair.
Yeah.
Probably any guitar man in the country could have beat me, but anyhow, I played guitar for him.
So, and do you remember the last time you ever saw him?
That was about the last time.
Yeah, when you played.
Yeah. I believe it was the next day. We're up, you know, 10 o'clock. I think that there was a train, you know, a passenger train come down through and stopped at Rosine.
Yeah.
And I believe he caught that train and went back home. And I believe that was the last time I ever seen her on shoes.
You never heard of him?
Now, people like Merle Travis and people like that, you know, that really learned from him. Merle didn't even know that he ever played with a straight pick.
Huh.
But in following a fiddle piece, you know, a breakdown, he used a pick, and he could just run from one chord to another, the prettiest you've ever heard. There's no guitar pickers today that could do that.
Yeah.
But I tried to keep in mind a little of it, you know, what I could salvage, you know, to use in my music, you know. And
do you know if he was married and had a family of his own?
No, I don't know.
But people really seem to like him.
But I believe if there's ever an old gentleman that passed away and is resting in peace, it was Arnold Shoes. I really believe that.
Yeah. So I remember seeing a movie about Hank Williams once, and it's one of the first people that he ever met who played music was this shoeshine guy, some kind of a shoeshine man or something, and he played, and he really, you know, had an influence on Hank Williams too. But there's been a lot of, you know, back and forth.
You know, when you're a kid or back in the early days, you picked your idols, you know, the people that you thought was the best. And if you wanted to take things from whoever you could learn it from, you know, and not ask them to learn your show, you'd have to remember it, you know. And people like Clayton McMitchin was my favorite fiddler, you know.
Was he?
Yeah.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I mean, he's a fine man.
He lives here on Bowling Green or
I
something.
believe he lives at Louisville.
Oh.
And of course, I like Jimmy Rogers singing, his yodeling. Of course, in doing it bluegrass style, it makes it a different swing and a different. And we can do. I could do a lot of his numbers, you know, like Mule Skinner Blues, and it was a big help, you know, in the way of starting bluegrass music, the timing of it.
Yeah.
And but to know